Hey guys, it's Emma Vigeling with TYT Politics. So before I say anything, I want to start off with this fact from Gallup. So we supposedly live in a democracy, or at the very least, a democratic republic where the will of the people should ideally be the primary concern for our public servants. I know, laugh with me. But as of October 2017, Gallup found that 64% of Americans favor legalizing marijuana for recreational purposes. When Gallup first asked the American population back in 1969, only 12% of Americans felt that way. Even as recently as 2012, only 50% of Americans supported legalizing marijuana, but that support has shot up after seeing the success in states like Colorado. The trajectory, as you can see here, has been remarkable. Even a majority of Republicans support marijuana legalization for recreational purposes. In 2017, for the first time, a majority of Republicans expressed support for legalizing marijuana. The current 51% is up 9 percentage points from last year. I know it's 2018 now, but this is the last data we have. The margin of error in this Gallup poll is only 4 points. So at a minimum, 60% of Americans are in favor of legalizing marijuana recreationally. Despite all of this, members of the states' rights Republican Party did this yesterday. The Trump administration freed federal prosecutors on Thursday to more aggressively enforce marijuana laws, effectively threatening to undermine the legalization movement that has spread to 6 states, most recently California. Attorney General Jeff Sessions rescinded an Obama-era policy that had discouraged federal prosecutors from bringing charges of marijuana-related crimes in states that have legalized sales of the drug. In a statement, Mr. Sessions said that the Obama-era guidance undermined, quote, the rule of law and the Justice Department's mission to enforce federal statutes. Today's memo on federal marijuana enforcement simply directs all U.S. attorneys to use previously established prosecutorial principles that provide them all the necessary tools to disrupt criminal organizations, tackle the growing drug crisis, and thwart violent crime across our country, he said. In a briefing with reporters, Justice Department officials refused to say whether they intended for federal prosecutors to carry out a federal crackdown on marijuana dispensaries or whether the Trump administration was merely creating ambiguity to chill growth of the semi-legal commercial marijuana industry. Let's stop right there for a second. So, after voters in Colorado and Washington decided to legalize marijuana recreationally back in 2013, the Obama Justice Department sent out a memo to prosecutors asking them to, quote, deprioritize marijuana-related prosecutions in those states. Jeff Sessions and Trump's Justice Department are reversing that memo. So that means that the big bad Trump administration, that Republican administration, states' rights, they scream, federal government is telling these states that have legalized marijuana recreationally, do what we say. Fuck your states' rights to do common sense legalization that doesn't clog up court systems with meaningless marijuana cases that disproportionately hurt minorities. When I said states' rights, I meant I wanted to hurt minorities. I want racism. That's my states' rights. So any Republican that invokes states' rights from now on, I want any Democrat or progressive to ask them if they support this decision by Trump's Justice Department. And if they say yes, I want you to say you are not a supporter of states' rights then. You're a goddamn hypocrite. And you just want to use states' rights in Alabama to restrict voting rights for minorities, pretty much. Look, neither party actually cares about states' rights, but only one party regularly invokes states' rights as a justification for their horrific policies. And that is the Republicans. But Republicans are all about money, right? They're all about economic growth, economic opportunity in America. Of course they're not, I know. They're all about the growth of industries that are currently in place because those are their existing donors. They don't care that the marijuana industry is, quote, forecast to reach nearly $23 billion in sales by 2021. California's sales alone are set to bring in $1 billion annually in tax revenue over the next few years. If they were a party of economic growth actually, they would. But because the marijuana industry isn't legitimate yet and hasn't had the opportunity to buy them off, they don't really have an interest in that economic growth. In addition, Jeff Sessions, our Attorney General, is an insane dogmatist. He has said things like this in the past, quote, "Good people don't smoke marijuana," quote, unquote. And he has compared marijuana to heroin use in the past. He's called marijuana, quote, "a very real danger." And notoriously, he made a joke in the 1980s, allegedly saying that he thought the Ku Klux Klan was cool, with a K, I guess, quote, "until I found out that they smoked pot." Great, that's our Attorney General. Interestingly, Sessions loved President George W. Bush, who admitted to smoking pot and had apparently done coke in the past. Is he a bad person? He's a worse person than someone who smoked pot, Jeff Sessions, right? Sure. But states that have legalized are fighting back. Massachusetts Attorney General Maura Healey, a Democrat, said that the move inexplicably directed federal law enforcement resources away from an opioid epidemic that she said was ravaging communities. Yeah, the opioid epidemic is really bad in Massachusetts. Republican Senator Cory Gardner of Colorado said that the decision on marijuana use must be left up to the states, and that the Justice Department had trampled on the will of voters in his state and elsewhere. Good on Cory Gardner. That's actually states' rights. That's a Republican invoking states' rights, probably because there's a lot of money in his state from it, but oh well. Oregon's governor, Democrat Kate Brown, said in a statement that more than 19,000 jobs had been created in her state in the legal market, that officials had, quote, worked carefully to build in good faith and in accordance with the Cole Memorandum. That was the Obama memo that I just referenced. Washington Governor Jay Inslee, a Democrat, said that his state's pot laws kept criminals out of the market and stopped the drug reaching children or crossing borders to neighboring states. So look, this is personal for me. I smoke marijuana fairly regularly. I think I've been open about that on the show. I think more people would be happier if they smoked marijuana instead of drank alcohol all the time. Alcohol has been shown to have notoriously terrible effects on your health, let alone the opioids that are just in the market legally if you just get a script from your doctor who hand them out like candy. Once the money comes into the marijuana industry, it's going to be done. It's going to be game over. I understand that. But the fact that basically these hypocrite Republicans are fighting back against progress just because they have these arcane views about the past, and just because, frankly, they aren't bought off yet by them. That's really what this is. If the Republican Party was already getting donations from the marijuana industry, as they get from the alcohol industry, they wouldn't be fighting back on this. But because on the federal level, marijuana is still illegal and all these businesses have to be in cash, they can't be bought off just yet. But wait and see. Once these industries become legitimate, they will try to bribe politicians just like the rest of the industries in this country. And then marijuana will be the greatest thing since sliced bread, because that's how the narrative is framed. But shame on Jeff Sessions. I mean, it can't be said enough how little he cares about the disproportionate effects of drug policy and how it hurts minorities. He just thinks essentially they're inherently bad people, because even though black people smoke pot at a rate that's almost identical to their population in the country, they're arrested at almost a 4 times rate to that of white people. But he just tunes out those facts, right?